Ah, it's a you!
Oh, Dr. Mario,
Ah,
I don't
it's
feel
a
so
you.
good.
Ah, Mr. Piranha, what can I do for you? What's wrong?
It might have been the fire flower or something else I ate. I feel as though there's a burning sensation in my chest. It's been making me feel nauseous, and I've had stomach pains just as much. I've been vomiting so much more recently.
More than usual. Well, let's see.
Let's go!
Prognosis? Judging from the symptoms, it sounds like Mr. Piranha here has a case of gastric reflux. So let's recap what we know. So gastric reflux is when the ring of muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter fails to close properly or remains open even after food has passed through, and gastric acid produced by the stomach moves up the esophagus. That burning chest pain is called heartburn, is caused by the acid. The stomach has a mucosal lining which are comprised of parietal cells. At the surface of these cells, in a location called the caniculus, there is a proton pump inhibitor known as the hydrogen potassium ATPase, and this is one of the most crucial mechanisms in the gastric acid secretion. There are 3 ways the body's parietal cells secrete gastric acid. From the enterochromaffin-like cells in the blood, histamine and G cells provide 2 pathways, stimulating H2 receptors using histamine, and CCK8, otherwise known as the gastrin receptors, with gastrin. The third is from the vagus nerve, innervating the enteric nervous system, inducing acetylcholine that directly acts on the muscarinic 3 receptors. These 3 pathways converge in the parietal cell, creating hydrogen after some complex chemical reactions. Proton pump inhibitors will end up blocking most of this secretion, making it one of the most effective forms of medication in the treatment of peptic or duodenal ulcers, and gastric esophageal reflux disease, or GERD, which he might end up developing later. Proton pump inhibitors bind irreversibly and inhibit the action of the hydrogen potassium ATPase pump, thereby greatly reducing the amount of gastric acid secreted. All 3 pathways result in gastric acid secretion through the ion channel. We block this, we kill 3 birds with 1 stone. PPIs are weak bases. This allows them to build up within the acidic environment of the canicular region of the parietal cells, so this will have the effect of neutralizing a strongly acidic environment. Since they bind irreversibly to the proton pump inhibitors, it is the most effective treatment of peptic ulcers, as only after new molecules are synthesized can acid secretion resume. This time-dependent effect will give him some relief he wants. If it does turn out to be ulcers, the best would be to put him on dual therapy, adding antibiotic clethromycin to his regimen, or triple therapy, additionally adding amoxicillin as well, to get rid of Helicobacter pylori. Looking at the histamine pathway, I know antihistamine can inhibit secretion of gastric acid, and are in fact quite effective. But they can cause a tolerance and can result in some form of relapse if stopped. They are also reversible as opposed to PPIs, so it's more likely that the secretion will greatly be reduced due to this fact. But the effect won't last as long, and especially with how sedentary he is. I'll put omeprazole to the piranha plant. It's a widely used proton pump inhibitor medication and has been shown to have successful inhibition of gastric acid secretion. It will hit the stomach as a capsule or liquid suspension, so easy compliance. It's safe, generally well-tolerated drugs among this population, but as with all drugs, there is both potential for side effects. Omeprazole has side effects which can include abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting, but these are generally mild, sometimes even cold symptoms or fever. There is also evidence that's been linked with kidney disease in patients with risk of that. As for other drugs, I hope he hasn't been taking anything that may contraindicate omeprazole. Since we are treating stomach acid secretions, gastric pH can affect bioavailability of certain drugs or absorption of certain vitamins and minerals. There are some drug interactions I need to consider with caution. It has been shown for omeprazole to interact with the enzyme cytochrome P450, which is important in metabolizing endogenous substances. It might potentiate diazepam or warfarin or phenytoin, as it will decrease the elimination rate. Omeprazole may also cause a decreased activation of clopidogrel, as its process relies on cytochrome 450 enzymes. Therefore, there is an increased risk of heart attack for those patients who are taking these and should be prevented from doing so by the liver. However, all in all, the drug has been proven to be pretty safe, and if taken in accordance with the dosage described, I see no reason PD Piranha here shouldn't be using it. Ignoring the fact that PD Piranha is a plant, what else should I add to the treatment in order to help without the symptoms? What's the worst contraindication I should be careful for? Yoo-hoo! Ah, yes, Dr. Mario. You have a question for me. PPRs are the most effective drugs at reducing gastric and acid secretion because